In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a vibe-coded AI-first MVP using all the tools out there right now that allow you to basically become an AI-first startup, which is what investors are looking for. And you're going to use this methodology to get your first pre-seed check, or in my case, go and get your first customers. Your first customers are going to help you with all the funding anyway, and that's what I like to do because I'm bootstrapping all my startups. Rather, I'm thinking about seed strapping, but bootstrapping is what I'm going to do right now, and it's going to use my building block methodology. I'm going to show you 10 building blocks, and eventually you're going to build a pitch deck and show pre-seed early stage investors and get them excited about investing into your AI first MVP. This is going to be a double feature. Not only am I going to show you all my building blocks and how I do it, but I'm also going to give you a real world example, in real life example of how this is being used right now to success. We are getting meetings and we are getting investor interest. Serious investors are saying, hey, we want to take the next step. We're taking it slowly because we're not in a hurry to get funding right now, but I'm going to show you the pitch deck that has gotten us there, and you're going to take the principles from it and basically be able to do it on your own. Before we continue, my name is Ed Kang. If we met before, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for coming by again. Use the chapter markers, as always, to jump to the good part of the video, making your life as easy as possible. You're welcome. If we haven't met before, I'm a 7-time funded founder with 2 exits. That's just a fancy way of saying I failed a bunch of times to your benefit, because I like to use YouTube videos like this and my channel to help founders, especially early stage founders raising early stage funding, avoid some of the catastrophic mistakes that I've made. Not to say you're not going to make mistakes, but I'm going to try to make your life a little bit easier because it's tough enough as it is. I'm also the Chief Strategy Officer for Startups.com. If you're already part of Startups.com, your support means so much to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. If you haven't checked out Startups.com yet, go check it out. A lot of free resources there. And if you become a member, I can become your advisor. While you're all here, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube thing. That's enough of the intro. Let's jump in on how to vibe code an AI first MVP so you can raise that pre-seed money or get your first customers. The first building block is going to be your validated problem. And it's so important that you validate the problem. I've got so many videos on idea validation, validating the problem. You want to make sure that it is validated in the sense that people will pay for it. It's something that people want. It's less of a vitamin solution, something nice to have, and more of a painkiller, at least like an aspirin problem. If it's an antibiotic problem, people are going to suffer consequences. If they can't solve it, that's even better, but needs to be validated, not just an idea in your head, something that you want to do, but other people say, yes, I have that problem as well. That's the first block. Second block, obviously, is going to be the manual solution. I say this manually because you want to validate your solution by doing it manually first. Don't worry about trying to build something or trying to get out there and code something to launch that nobody cares about because it's not validated. Try to deliver the solution manually first, either verbally, through paper, consulting, gig work. I don't care what it is. Validate your solution by doing it manually. As always, one of the benefits of doing it manually is you get your first customers and you can start making money. But it doesn't have to be that complicated. You'll get feedback, especially when you tell them the price. But just as long as you have those individuals who validated the problem say, yes, this would solve my problem. This is a solution that I'm looking for. Doesn't have to be fully fleshed out yet. You are on the right track. I'm trying to keep this as low commitment, low budget, lean MVP style as much as possible. You're going to appreciate it because you don't have to be so technical to do this and raise your initial funds. And then you can hire your CTO, your dev shop, or continue to learn how to do it yourself, especially if you're generating revenue by doing it manually. You're just going to help yourself so much more and give you the optionality later on of not having to take in funding right away, which is what I will show you in my real world example, the technique that we're using to make investors experience that FOMO. You might even consider seed strapping, which is when you don't raise funding until you got product market fit and you raise one round and you never raise again. You raise enough to be profitable and you go to glory without having a whole bunch of investors on your cap table being diluted, and everybody ends up making more money in return for less growth, which is something that you'd have to do if you're building a unicorn startup and you took VC funding. Like I said, I always have other videos talking about these concepts. Go check it out. But let's get back to these building blocks. The next building block is your industry vertical. You have to pick an industry vertical. Don't just pick a problem across a horizontal industry. A vertical is when you take an entire industry horizontal this way. Like I said, you've got accounting. That might be something that you're looking at, might be law. And then you pick what is that vertical that is very specific to that industry. So like I said, it might be tax accounting right there or forensic accounting. Doesn't matter. Pick a vertical because this is going to help set you up for all the different components to your AI first MVP that are going to be critical. You're going to be focused and get into your niche. The riches are in the niches. Same with pre-seed funding and your first customers. After the industry vertical comes your persona title. We're going to refine it even more. And this is where you are going to focus on your ICP. ICP stands for Ideal Customer Profile or Ideal Customer Persona, or I like to say Initial Customer Persona. You're going to pick a certain title, most likely an executive title. It can be a C-suite. Going after the CEO, that's going to be questionable because it's very hard to contact CEOs, long cycles, unless you have access. Unless you have founder market fit, that might help you get to those CEOs, but you want to make sure that you can access the right ICP. That's very important. So pick a title. In previous ventures, I've talked about going to the HR director or somebody working in a specific IT role. Find the persona title. Not only are they in the industry vertical, but you want to study and figure out what their problems are and how they experience those problems. And most likely you've done validation, but pick one title. I want you to pick one title so you don't spread yourself out too thin. You might be saying, but Ed, don't you always tell me to pick a total addressable market that's in the billions? How am I going to get to billions if I pick an industry vertical and I pick a title? Well, it's about your beachhead. It's about landing and expanding and making sure that you dominate a specific vertical and a specific individual by targeting them, which helps you go to market a lot easier. Then you can start to expand. Just because you're hitting the finance director inside a particular industry vertical doesn't mean you can't hit the finance director in another industry. And eventually you'll get so much traction, you'll be entrenched and embedded, you'll have that defensible moat around you, so much defensibility that you'll be able to expand into the other titles or the other functions across the industry. That's how you want to start. And LLMs are poised to help you do this if you take these necessary steps and focus on an industry vertical and a niche. Remember again, riches are in the niches, but so is that pre-seed funding and your first customers. From here, you are going to pick an AI model. You're going to pick an LLM with the tools. There's so many AI models out there that I'm not going to go into it, but pick one because all of them are trying to expand to become a platform to help you develop your own MVPs, to help you develop those agents or entire programs, custom GPTs like OpenAI does with ChatGPT. There's a plethora of choices out there. I'm not going to get into it. You just have to go out and play with them and find out what works best for you as you tinker around and you start to get creative, get curious on what each will do for you. And then poof, you will figure out the one that works for you that's going to help you with this MVP. As Sam Altman recently said, don't try to compete with the LLMs. Don't compete with the platforms that are going out there and have those large language models because the opportunity is in the fact that they're large and in charge, but they can hallucinate and they're generalized and they give out the same kind of AI slop that everybody else is doing, but they know how to deliver functionality if you focus on something in particular, which leads us to the next steps that's going to help you build those additional blocks to make sure that you stand apart from those large language models and people trying to solve problems for everybody. Remember, if you try to boil the ocean, that means you sell to everyone, you sell to no one. You're not going to get the funding because investors are going to say, well, if you're trying to solve the problem for all these people, what stops ChatGPT, OpenAI with their $3 billion or $6 billion or XAI, Elon Musk from coming and saying, thank you very much, we're going to go after everything because they can. And that's the reason you want to stay in those gaps, those underserved, underrepresented, and underestimated market segments. And then later on, who knows? Maybe those big companies are going to come by you because you have developed a niche, you are entrenched, you've got traction, you've got the customers that are valuable to them. Next up is the niche data set. Remember, I told you the riches are in the niches. And that's where you're going to take your founder market fit, founder problem fit. You're going to take everything you know and you're going to create a unique data set that's going to work with the LLM. You might be wondering, where does this data set come from? Well, if you've been manually solving problems, you've got a data set. If you have successful solutions or case studies, you have a data set. Not only that, you can get AI to do some deep research for you based on your ideas and compile your own unique data set. But you have to make sure that it is based on your expertise. Domain expertise is absolutely critical. If you're trying to solve problems for an industry that you know nothing about and you have no experience, this is not going to work. Imagine that you have been solving problems as a consultant or some type of service provider for some time now, and you have what my colleague at startups.com, Chief Marketing Officer Ryan Rattan says, a proprietary proven process. So it's proprietary to you, it's based on your knowledge, and it's proven, you've done it with clients, and it's predictable, and it's a process. If you've got that, guess what? You have a data set. You've got a way to teach and train an LLM model on how to do what you do for those clients in an automated way. In the example I'm going to show you, I took all the white papers, all the essays, all the things that are happening inside the brains of the founders, and I fed it into ChatGPT 03 Pro actually, and I set it out for deep research, and I said, show me the patterns, organize this into a proven proprietary process. Where's the magic sauce? And that is unique to the startup. Nobody has this. This is not in some general LLM out there. It is unique, proprietary to the startup. And that's what we're telling investors and customers, that you can't go out there and just start typing in ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, Perplexity, and find these answers. It is here with us, and that's the advantage that you're going to have. So this is such a critical component of you being able to raise funds. Didn't I say the riches are in the niches? Well, after that, you are going to have your proven prompt or set of prompts. You have to prompt the LLM or whatever model that you're using according to your data set and figure out how to get it to do its magic, interact with that data set to solve the problem. This set of prompts is gold for you. Not only do you have your proprietary data set, but you've got a way to interact with it, which is sort of like your secret sauce, the way that you whisper. You're the LLM whisperer or the AI whisperer that nobody else can do, because prompt engineering still is a differentiator. Yes, everybody can do it, but I've seen some huge prompts out there that are so complex that come out with the most amazing results. All you need is that AI model. You need that proprietary data set, that niche data set for your vertical and that particular industry persona, the title that you're talking to, and then you've got your set of prompts, mix those together, and that's where the magic happens. That cocktail starts to swirl together, the alchemy, the cauldron, and the magic comes out that the investors go, wow. And I've been able to demo this to the investors without giving away trade secrets, and they say, wow, that's something that we've never seen before, and it's totally accessible. It's the magic of AI. It's where everybody's having these aha moments and they think it's so magical, but really it's just a bunch of building blocks that you put together in a special way that other people haven't. Now we're going to level up and we're moving to your vibe code output. Notice how I didn't start with vibe coding. This is the problem most founders are falling into. They get so excited about accessing these tools, they start coding something and say, it's ready. How do I get my first customer? You haven't built a foundation to help you raise those funds, get that first customer. That's why you have to follow these building blocks the way I've said it. What you are going to do is go to an agent, any agent out there. I don't care what it is. It might be Lovable, might be Replit. There are so many other places that you can go. Bolt is another good one out there. And you are going to feed everything in there. You are going to tell this agent, here, this is my problem. This is my solution. Here's who I'm talking to, the persona, and this is the model that I want to use. Prompt it like this using this data set, and then poof, what the agent is going to do is come out with some type of output and say, this is the interface that you should use. It's going to have buttons to click. It's basically like your high fidelity Figma model, but it's going to be showing you what goes into the back end to make sure that this can eventually become its own app, its own software solution, standing onto itself as a platform, whatever final destination or final format that you're going to be using to deliver the results for your customers. It doesn't have to be perfect to this stage. Remember, you've been doing it manually up to this point in time. There's no pressure on whatever that you're building, hacking away using one of these agents, Replit, Lovable, Bolt. You're just going to get things going so you can show everybody your unique container, your unique output, and it can start to work. The buttons will be clickable. There'll be interaction, and people will start to believe that you can pull this off. On top of which, you can feed in some of the outputs, the solutions, the fairy tale endings, the case studies that you've been doing for other clients into this model, into this container, and say, now format it. I've been able to tell Replit, I want you to take my output and put it into a spider chart, put this whiz bang gizmo and organize it this way, change the color that way. It's so easy to engage, interact, and to vibe code one of these agents that you will amaze yourself. And you haven't had to raise the money for that CTO or hire that dev shop yet. You're doing it all on your own. It doesn't have to be production ready. That's going to come. You just need to show the pieces to the investors or the first customers, and they will either pre-buy or start to do business with you right away, and you'll get that traction, which is only going to help you raise investment that much easier. Finally, the social proof. You're showing everybody, you're getting testimonials, you already have customers, you're showing the investors, I have the social proof that I have founder market fit, I have problem solution fit, and I'm getting to product market fit because the social proof is there. You may not have all the traction. You may not have hit $1 million ARR in 90 days, but you've got the social proof that you're pointing in the right direction. Remember, we're going for pre-seed, and that doesn't necessarily need all the revenue, product market fit based revenue, that momentum, but it is possible with social proof, and you want to stack your pitch deck in your favor to get the investors thinking, this founder has already de-risked the investment so much the social proof is there. If you're wondering, the social proof can come in the form of testimonials. Go get your customers to tell you what they think and what you've done for them. Use case studies with actual real results. You can even show metrics of those case studies. That's all social proof. And you're going to put the logos that you're working with. If you're in a B2B enterprise SaaS type situation, the logos are going to help, but also the number of people who said something about it, who's used it before, plus their names. And you're going to be showing that growth. Imagine that you can get 10% week over week growth of individuals saying, wow, this is the solution that I've been looking for. That's going to help. You can use your socials. The following on your socials is going to help as well. There's so many ways to show this proof, social proof, that you're going to make your life so much easier when you are raising that early stage funding. The last building block that you're going to put on top is the roadmap. You're going to explain to investors and early customers, here's where we are going next. And if you stick with me, I'm going to build this feature, that feature. And on top of which, I'd love your feedback. I'd love to work with you and get your input because your opinion is very important. Don't underestimate the roadmap. That's where investors start to get their imagination going and they think to themselves, I can see if the founder has gotten this far with no money, bootstrapping, and using scrappy tools out there, what could they do if I give them my $50,000, my $500,000? You can tell customers, if you sign on right now, then I will give you a lifetime subscription, depending on what your startup does. Most importantly, it shows that you are a thoughtful founder. And by the time you've gone through all these other building blocks, you'll be able to lay out a very thoughtful, very strategic pathway, the roadmap to future success. You'll be able to budget. You'll know how much money to raise. You'll probably have lots of great data for your own projections. On top of which, AI can help you with this roadmap. You can ask it, this is what I plan to do next. What do you think? And AI can act as your technical co-founder. I did this technique with my video game startup, and I said, I need to do a wireframe. Where should I have this done first? It pointed me to some solutions. And then I said, okay, how do I get this going? How do I put the logic in? It pointed me to Replit and actually started giving me the code and where to start from. It's amazing how much can be done with these AI co-pilots, assistants, agents. I just treat them like co-founders. Train it to be your co-founder, interact with it. It's only going to make you a better AI first founder. Now that you've got all these building blocks in place, well, you need that pitch deck to tell the story. You will explain to that early stage investor the 10 building blocks and put them in a format like a pitch deck, organize them properly to get them excited and get them interested. That FOMO is going to set in, that greed, and investors are going to say, if they don't take my money now, they might not need my money because of all the success they've had up to this point in time. To beat this drum and to be a broken record, that's why you built this foundation is so key to this entire thing. The more stable your foundation with all these building blocks, the easier it's going to be to continue to build up to the point where you are getting those customer checks, those investor checks, whatever checks that you need, you are going to get funded. Now, as promised, I'm going to show you an actual pitch deck that is built on these 10 building blocks. As I always say on this channel, I'm never going to recommend that you do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And I realize the entire startup ecosystem ecosystem has changed. This new AI first startup craze that's happening, I'm jumping right in. I'm helping founders, and I'm going to show you this pitch deck. And then you're going to see the theory of these 10 building blocks put into practice. I'm going to explain every single step and how they relate to each other. This company is called Elevate, and we're raising money for them right now. I'm participating with them as their advisor, full disclosure. The founders of Elevate have been around over a decade, but now they're getting into tech startup land, creating something called the Transmedia Distribution Platform. And this tagline says, enabling brands to increase revenue and cost savings through AI-driven multi-channel content. As I always say, create a very simple tagline on what it does. Don't use buzzy hype words. Here's the problem statement. Despite $397 billion in US ad spending, customer acquisition costs have risen by 222% due to declining ROI, poor targeting, and fragmented audience behavior. I tested this problem solution live with potential investors and customers, and they looked at me and they nodded completely. This problem statement has been validated. The customers have said, yes, we see this as a problem. We've experienced it. And investors are also saying, we watch others experience this problem. We know it's painful and there's a big cost to it. And that just gets them more motivated to listen to the solution. So validated problem. Next is a solution, and it must align with the problem. Check it out. Our platform creates AI-driven brand content across multiple channels to target fans and monetize audience behavior for a projected 2.9x increase in revenue and a 1.5 increase in cost savings based on research from the Boston Consulting Group. I had an investor ask me specifically about how Boston Consulting Group went about and got those results, and I walked them through the study, which convinced them even more. You'll notice that this solution isn't even out there fully yet. It's an MVP form, so there's no way that we could get our own data, not yet anyway. So we use Boston Consulting Group's data, and investors are paying attention, and they think to themselves, yeah, if this is validated by the industry, then you're on the right track. So don't be afraid to use other promising results to make the promise that your MVP, your AI first driven startup, is going to do the same thing. Here is a why now slide. It says, according to Google's 7-11-4 rule, acquiring a customer today requires an average of 7 hours of engagement, 11 touch points across 4 different locations. Today's buyers don't convert from a single ad, they convert from an experience. We build that experience. And this is a chart directly from Google. You've heard me say before, I'm not a fan of why now slides unless there is a significant inflection point that you want to share. I'm also not a big fan of bloating up pitch decks when you're trying to send out a screener introduction deck. And that's where I want to make clear that this is not a screener introduction deck. We've already got the meeting. They want more information, or I'm having a meeting with them and we're going through the slide deck together. That's why, as you'll see, we can include additional slides that will help reinforce and navigate the conversation, especially based on what investors are thinking of. And this happened to be one of these slides, an inflection point that I can show in the marketplace that made investors and customers go, wait a sec, I've never seen that data before, which is a unique tactic. If you can show your investors a novel insight that they have not seen, then you are doing yourself a huge favor. It's going to make that pitch so much easier. Investor and customer said to me, as I tried this live, remember, I validated everything. They said, I didn't know. Is that really the case? No wonder ads are not working these days. And that makes a lot of sense to me. And I explained to them, this is based on the authority of Google. They've got all the data. They track people across everything to the point where they make a purchasing decision. And other people have said to me, Ed, can you send me this data? Can you send me this information? You know, when they are digging in, they're jumping in because you've blown their minds with this unique novel insight that you are doing the right thing. You're on the right track. The pitch is going amazing. Here's a Tam Sam Som slide, and I used headlines to illustrate each of the segments. U.S. advertising spending is expected to exceed $397 billion this year. Notice how it relates to the problem statement. TAM should match up to whatever is stated as your market in the problem slide. The SAM, we will initially target brands that plan to spend $22.2 billion in the U.S. creator economy. We will show them how to build transmedia fandoms. That final sentence explains why we're targeting them. We project annual revenue of $112 million by year 5. Financial projections are available upon request. I put that in there because everyone asks for financials at this point in time. I say they are going to be available. I just want to get you through this initial pitch. Here's how it works slide. I'm not going to bore you with it, but put out a very simple process. I walk everybody through step by step. Then I create another how it works slide based upon putting a visual on the final result. This sparks the imagination of the investor and of the potential customer. The business model, notice the headline summary sentence. We charge platform, production, and media buying fees while guaranteeing distribution reach. We broke it down 30%, 35%, 35%. And then I've got this statement at the bottom of additional income streams include a percentage of direct revenue and sales products. I put that in there because everybody started asking as I was validating this pitch deck. People were asking about it. And I said, we want to dominate this revenue first. We want to make sure that we've got the one revenue source. You're talking about the number one revenue source in our business model, and then we'll expand into these other revenue models. And everybody starts to feel much more comfortable about it as I explain why, and they start to say, wow, Ed, you really thought this through. Here's the go-to-market slide. Notice how it's not a laundry list of all the different things that we plan on doing. Just explain very clearly, 100% of our business is through referral-based sales, leveraging our portfolio and talent networks. But when we get funded, we're going to go through these phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, which has the additional channels right there. This is a battle-tested go-to-market strategy. It is not something that we just thought about and said, this must be a good idea, give us money to figure out. We're saying, no, if you give us money, we know exactly what to do and how to pour gasoline on the fire. Here's the competition slide. There's a headline right there. We combine the strategic depth of an agency, agility of content creative platforms, and the performance-focused media buyer while maximizing data ROI, reducing overhead with AI. Remember, in your competition slide, you want to talk from the customer's point of view. You want to not pitch the customer directly, but you're going to tell the investor, we know customers want, and that's why I included this. And this is one of those quadrant models where I say we sit right in the middle. You've got different types of competitive slide models that you can learn from on this channel, but this one happened to work really good. And I had someone send me feedback and say, that competitive slide, that was chef's kiss. Here's the core team. The people that we put out there, notice how we've got name and title, and we've got social proof. This company also has additional employees. I think they have 10 plus employees out there, and you don't have to put them onto this slide. You just have the main key executives that are going to contribute, and they're de-risking the investment. Now we get to the traction slide. Portfolio work speaks for itself. I want to show you how we're positioning this. Check out all these logos. This is the social proof that we are always looking for as investors. They love this. These logos like Home Depot, WV, you name it, MTV, they are very, very good. And it just so happens this is the domain expertise that is going to be put in to train the AI models. It's already training the AI models right now. And I want to explain, hey, when we're using AI with this, all this domain expertise from working with these clients comes together. Now, full disclosure, have these companies used the latest AI version of the product this company's launching? No, nobody has. You could actually say this startup is pre-revenue, although they've been generating revenue for over a decade. But I want to tell the story to investors. Look at all this domain expertise, this intellectual proprietary capital. Remember, I said proven proprietary process. And this company, those founders have proven their process with all those companies over and over again, those big brands, those big logos. And now they're telling investors, we're going to investors, and we're saying we're putting all that into AI because we can. AI has made it possible now for us to go to scale instead of relying on what is in everybody's head or paying expensive salaries for executives to be able to do this. AI is going to level the playing field, and that's how we're reducing the cost. You see the problem solution, painful, cost money, and we're promising a solution by reducing the cost, and we're backing it up with the domain expertise, and it's in this pitch deck, and it's going to go into the AI. It's the AI first approach, and that gives this startup a new story, and that's why investors are interested, because not only is it using new technology, and we could go unicorn, but it's run by founders who've been there, done that. They're completely experienced. They're not greenhorns, rookies, whatever you want to call them. This is an experienced team that has de-risked the investment, and that's why these conversations are starting to accelerate a lot easier. To further nail it home, here's the traction case study, one of them. And it's got the receipts right there, 2.1 million earned media value, 8.6 million social interactions, and so forth. Look, another case study, and then another case study. This is Deloitte. All those logos are coming and becoming very real for the investors and the customers. Another case study is right there. We've got case studies galore, and that shows that we know what we're doing. We can back up our promises. Now we get to some fun stuff where we're starting to show the demo, but notice how it's just in slide format right now. Took Cena's World, this was a virtual character on Black Entertainment Television, and it's owned by the executive chair, Curtis Gadsden, and partners. And we said we have updated it using our AI tools. This sparks the imagination and starts to present a case study. And I have a call to action that contact us for other fandom projects. We can demo and we can show this to you. And it's going to be not the final product, but it's an MVP demo. And nobody cares because they see the final results. They understand that we can get there. We just need continued customer revenue and investor support to get there, but to pour gasoline on the fire, not to figure things out. And what we haven't figured out, we can figure out because we've got the right team that can pivot and iterate. This slide shows the demo process that they can expect. And this is what's so cool about AI and vibe coding. All these individual pieces, they exist, but not tied together. It's not all in one nice software package, but I could show you how we do this. I can show you how we did that. And I've already shown you that we did it with Sita's World, and that's why the building blocks are coming into place. The 10x building blocks are all in this chart right here. And that is what gets investors really believing what we are presenting to them. Who said an MVP needs to be one software program all tied together so everybody has a unified experience? Nobody's ever said that. With AI agents, now you can have different ones for different steps of your MVP. And that's all I did. When I demoed this for customers and for investors, I just show them, here's the back end, here's what I've been programming, and this is how this module works. And then it goes to this module. And I just manually drag the results from one into the other and let the AI do its thing, showed its magic. It was all a bunch of custom GPTs all put together by me manually. And when people say, well, how's this going to all come together? That's when I show them the final mock-up of the potential interface. But I explain to them, we are perfecting, we are honing and training the AI in all the individual components before they start working together, because not one AI or not one large language model does everything, and investors get it. They just want to see how the sausage is made. They want to pop the hood and look in the engine. I don't care what metaphor you want to use. You show investors that, they start to trust you and get better confidence, especially if you're doing it quickly. You're showing them the momentum, and I am contacting these investors and giving them updates on a weekly basis, and the train is starting to speed up, and it's getting very exciting. Let me show you this one last slide. Pay attention to this one, everybody. It says right here, currently self-funded. We don't need your money right now. Through client work, we already have clients, we're generating revenue, but we may consider raising around to scale our AI tools and expand our content pilot program partnerships. Contact us for investor updates. This is what I call my ninja fundraising move. It is something that I do every single time. True story. I'm sitting with an investor and they say, well, are you taking investment? I said, no, we're not taking it right now because we're so early stage that investment right now means too much equity and we're just going to be worth way more money. And I told the investor, if that stops our conversation right now, no problems. We can go in our separate direction. I can definitely keep you posted. In the meantime, I'd love to show you our progress and get your perspective, get your opinion. Your feedback would be valuable to us. That investor at that meeting kept trying to insert them and say, well, I can't wait to show me this, and let's take the next steps on that, and I've got other people interested. You see how I yanked that string and it created that FOMO in saying we've already got client revenue right now, taking investor money. We don't need it. And once again, it's because of the 10 building block foundation we put into this startup to allow us to be in this unique position. I know a lot of you out there want to go out and raise money because funding will make your life so much easier, but really will it? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Will funding make my life easier, or solving one problem, let's say you got some bills to pay, solving one problem create 7 other problems, which is usually what happens. That's why we always say the best time to raise money is when you don't need it. And if you use my 10 building blocks and you take a vibe coding AI first approach, you're not going to need funding the same way that you did before, the old-fashioned model of raising pre-seed. You'll be set up to have the power dynamic on your side, get the right investors, and get the right conditions put into place. On top of which, you'll have the optionality. Maybe you won't even need to raise funding because you're doing so much revenue and you're just fine making $10, $20 million by doing everything as your own tool before selling it out there to VCs, having to dilute your cap table. Let me know if you use this methodology and how you're progressing. I want to hear from you, give you some feedback, and who knows, maybe I'll introduce you to some of my investors, become one of your advisors. That's it for this one. Watch the other videos I put on the screen. Thanks for spending time with me. I'll see you in the next video.